Hello and welcome to the news at 5 on Channels Television. I'm Anne Nwawado. At our top stories this hour. Keir Starmer has resigned as UK Prime Minister and leader of the Labour Party. He announced his resignation outside of 10 Downing Street, stating that every decision he made in office was about putting the country he loves first. He also says that he will do everything he can to ensure an orderly handover of power and will give his successor his full support. Mr. Starmer also says that after leaving the biggest job in the country, he will now spend more time on the most important job.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September. I will remain in post as Prime Minister until the contest is complete, and I will do everything I can to ensure an orderly handover of power. I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago, better prepared for the challenges ahead, and better able to ensure the Labour Party secures a second term in office. I want to thank all of those friends and colleagues who have been at my side for these past 6 years or so, for their incredible commitment, service and support. I want to thank the brilliant Number 10 staff and our country's extraordinary civil service who dedicate their lives to public service. And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy.
And staying with the UK Prime Minister's resignation, the move has now triggered a leadership contest that will determine Britain's next political move and leader, and has already prompted a reaction from financial markets. Our London correspondent Julian Olainka reports from Westminster.
Less than 2 years after entering Downing Street on the back of Labour's landslide general election victory in July 2024, Sir Keir Starmer has announced his resignation as Prime Minister, bringing a dramatic end to a premiership that many believed would reshape British politics for years to come. Standing outside Number 10 this morning, an emotional Starmer confirmed he would step down as both Labour leader and Prime Minister, after concluding that he no longer had the confidence of enough Labour MPs to lead the party into the next general election. However, this is not an immediate exit from office. Under the timetable outlined today, Labour is expected to begin the formal process of selecting a new leader before the 9th of July. Starmer will remain in Downing Street in a caretaker capacity throughout the summer, with a successor expected to be chosen around the end of Parliament's summer recess and in place by the beginning of September. The significance of today's announcement was felt almost immediately in the financial markets. Sterling weakened against both the dollar and the euro, while UK government borrowing costs edged higher as investors assess the implications of yet another change at the top of British politics. And that is perhaps the bigger story. Starmer becomes the 4th British Prime Minister in 7 years to leave office before completing a full term, following Theresa May, Boris Johnson and Liz Truss. Once again, the British Prime Minister has been forced from office not by voters at a general election, but by loss of support within their own party. His departure now opens one of the most consequential leadership contests in recent British political history. Attention is already turning to potential successors, including Andy Burnham, as Labour seeks a leader capable of restoring authority within the party and confidence across the country. For investors, allies and trading partners around the world, including Nigeria, the focus now shifts from the end of the Starmer era to what comes next, and whether Britain's next Prime Minister can deliver the political stability that has eluded Westminster for much of the past. From outside the Palace of Westminster, I'm Juliana Olayinka for Channels Television News.
And staying outside our shores, Nigerians stranded in South Africa are protesting the non-evacuation by the federal government despite promises made. The Nigerians, who had picked up livelihoods to the High Commission in Pretoria in anticipation of their departure, say they have been forgotten at the premises with no information from the Nigerian government about a possible date for the evacuation. Many of them are trying to leave before the June 30 deadline set by the anti-immigrant groups in South Africa. The Nigerian government has made only one evacuation since it promised that over 1,000 citizens had indicated interest of leaving South Africa at the High Commission, promising more flights will be made available. But since the first batch of 258 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa arrived in Lagos on June the 11th, there have been no flights. Protests against irregular migrants in South Africa had been on the rise, with groups now calling for migrants, especially Africans in the country, to go back to their home countries. The South African government has called for calm, debunking the calls, but very little has been done to prevent the anti-immigrant protests from taking place or the harassment of migrants in the country. And back home, motorists and commuters along the busy Iwo Road interchange in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, today had a hard time moving to their businesses as protesters blocked the busy area, causing major traffic disruption. The protesters, who gathered at the location around 10 a.m., were led by the Take It Back movement, demanding an end to insecurity across the country and calling for the release of the abducted school children and teachers in Oyo State. Speaking during the protest, the national coordinator of the movement, Juwon Sanyaolu, said the demonstration is part of ongoing efforts by the group to push for the freedom of the victims. According to him, the protest is a continuation of action the organization has embarked upon since the abduction of school children and teachers in the Orire local government area of Oyo State. And he says the protest is welcome, and that's the idea for the release of all abducted victims until they're free, because they believe the government officials are in the comfort of their own rooms and offices, while innocent students and their teachers are languishing in the kidnappers' den. Still on security, troops of Operation Fasanyama conducting a successful counter-banditry operation across Kaduna State with forces engaging criminals during a cattle rustling incident, neutralizing 2 bandits and recovering stolen livestock, though 1 civilian was killed by the attackers. During night patrols and follow-up operations, troops apprehended 4 suspected bandits and scouts. These captures yielded significant intelligence, including motorcycles, communication devices, and digital materials linking the suspect to broader terrorist and criminal networks, all of whom remain in custody. Troops also intervened in Mararaba community to quell a violent mob following a fatal case of extrajudicial killing related to the child trafficking accusations. The military successfully dispersed the crowd, secured critical infrastructure, and cleared blocked highways to ensure the safe and uninterrupted movement of commuters. The theater commander praised the troops' operational effectiveness, reaffirming the military's commitment to sustaining intelligence-driven efforts. And staying with security matters, this time the federal government is calling for stronger collaboration between the media and security agencies to help combat insecurity, counter misinformation, and strengthen public trust in government efforts. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, made this call today in Abuja at a two-day national security summit organized by the Nigerian Union of Journalists in partnership with the Department of State Services. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, reports.
National Security Summit with the theme Media and Security Agencies as Partners in Nation Building brought together top government officials, security chiefs, media executives, communication experts, and other stakeholders to examine ways of strengthening cooperation between the media and security institutions in addressing Nigerian security challenges. President of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Mr. Al-Hassan Yahya, says the media must remain a critical partner in safeguarding national interest.
As journalists, we have recognized our constitutional and professional obligations to provide accurate, balanced, and responsible reporting in an era where information can influence perception, shape public opinion, and affect national security outcomes.
Declaring the summit open, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, says the federal government remains committed to a multi-pronged security strategy driven by intelligence, technology, interagency collaboration, and community engagement.
The government remains committed to fostering constructive engagement between the media and security institutions through dialogue, capacity building, strategic communication, and public enlightenment initiatives. We will continue to strengthen the partnership necessary for promoting national cohesion and resilience.
The second day featured technical presentations from media and security experts, including President of the International Press Institute, who advocated dialogue and due process in resolving disputes between government agencies and the media.
Too often, interaction between security agencies and the media occurs only during period of crisis, by which time positions had hardened and distrust has developed. Regular engagement provides opportunities to discuss concerns, clarify misunderstandings, and address emerging challenges before they escalate into public disputes.
Former Director of Naval Information, Commodore Keir Aliyu, retired, also emphasized that the media should be regarded as strategic partners in national security.
The issue of relationship between the media and security agencies is as old as recorded history. The military should regard the media as quasi staff officers to recognize their mission in war and to assist them in carrying it out.
A communique issued at the end of the summit emphasized the need for stronger media security partnerships, responsible and ethical reporting, timely dissemination of verified information, enhanced capacity building for journalists, and improved funding for security institutions to address emerging threats. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
And in the courts, Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court has ordered the remand of Mr. Omoyele Sowore, the presidential candidate of African Action Congress in Kuje Correctional Center. In a short ruling, Justice Umar ordered Mr. Sowore to be kept in the correctional center pending the hearing and determination of his motion for stay of the order for revocation of his bail and a bench warrant. Justice Umar also dismissed Mr. Showore's early application, seeking the judge's recusal from the case on the ground of alleged bias. The judge subsequently adjourned the matter to June the 24th for hearing of the application for stay. And the motion for stay was filed by his new lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Adeyinka Olumide Fushika. Justice Umar had on June the 16th revoked the bail granted to Mr. Sowore following his failure to appear in court for his trial. Justice Mohammed Umar, in a ruling on an oral application made by the lawyer of the Department of State Services, Akikolu Kehinde, senior advocate of Nigeria, also issued a bench warrant for his arrest. The DSS is prosecuting Mr. Sowore for allegedly making false claims in the person of President Bola Tinubu by referring him to as a criminal in a post he made on X and Facebook accounts. And when your news at 5 returns, we'll continue with the courts and the latest coming from the trial of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. Please join us again. Welcome back. The trial of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai for alleged phone tapping continued today, with the prosecution witness Deji Adeyanju testifying that the defendant confessed during a television interview to eavesdropping on the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu. During proceedings, the court admitted several documents into evidence, including the subpoena for the witness, a flash drive containing the interview, a certificate of compliance, and an official gazette. Mr. Adeyanju also informed the court that he witnessed Mr. El-Rufai's statement during a television interview, saying they listened to the conversation of the NSA. He further testified that when questioned by the Department of State Services regarding the event, he confirmed Mr. El-Rufai's on-air admission, noting that the former governor's claim that an associate had performed the act and shared the information with him. Under cross-examination, Mr. Adeyanju clarified that he did not hear Mr. El-Rufai explicitly claiming to have personally hacked the NSA phone lines, only that he had listened to his conversations. The defense questioned the witness regarding his knowledge of the NSA's communication methods and the depth of the NSA's DSS investigation, while the court adjourned the case till June the 23rd for continuation of trial. The lawmaker representing Edo North Senatorial District, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, is calling for a review of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Establishment Act. He argues that the word civil in the agency's name no longer reflects the realities of the threats its operatives confront. Senator Oshiomhole made this call during the Security Summit organized by the FCD Command of the Corps in Abuja. The summit also featured the launch of a book titled Nigeria's Security Dilemma, Rivalries and Implications, authored by the FCD Commandant of the Corps, Mr. Olushola Odumosu.
From what I can see now, we might need to review the name of Nigeria Civil Defense, or guy at the top. Because the concept of civil means you don't bear arms, you don't bear firearms. So if you bear firearms to deal with very deadly criminals who are doing illegal oil bunkering or destroying public property which you have been asked to protect, can you preach why they carry weapons? It doesn't seem to me that that will be the answer. So if the criminals you have to fight carry a sophisticated weapon, you who is fighting them, your weapon should not be less sophisticated. If you are dealing with dangerous criminals, we need to look at, because there could be some confusion. When I see service chiefs holding meeting, I don't see the DG, CG of civil defense. I'm like, there is something missing. This president is ready to give you all the backings. I'm not aware that anybody has been queried for apprehending a dangerous criminal. So what is political will require? That is, the president have that in abundance.
You're still watching the news at 5 on Channels Television, but for our viewers on the DSTV platform, we now go live to the nation's capital, Abuja, for the official commissioning of water supply network to Karu's satellite town in Abuja. But we continue with the news at 5 on other platforms. And the national leadership of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, has been urged to initiate a peaceful reconciliation process among all governorship aspirants in Kwara State, encouraging them to support the party's candidate ahead of the 2027 general elections. The coordinator of Kwara Central Prominent Youth, Mr. Abdul Majib Abdul Fatai, made this call while addressing journalists in Ilorin. He says that this is not the time for internal disputes, but a period for strengthening the party ahead of future elections and mobilizing support for President Bola Tinubu and other candidates fielded by the APC.
The APC governorship primary elections has come and gone, and a candidate has emerged through a democratic process recognized by our party. The Right Honorable Engineer Salu Yakubu Danladi is today the official governorship candidate of the APC for the 2027 general elections. In moments like this, sitting on the fence is not an option. The future belongs to those who are willing to take a stand for what they believed in. We have carefully observed recent developments and conversations within the political space. While we respect the aspiration and contribution of all those who participated in the governorship contests, we firmly believe that the interests of our party and the progress of Kwara State must now take precedence over individual ambitions. For us, this moment is also about appreciating visionary leadership. Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has, over the years, demonstrated uncommon commitments to youth inclusion, human capital development, infrastructure renewal, education advancement, healthcare improvements, and overall development of Kwara State. More importantly, he has consistently opened doors for young people to participate meaningfully in governance and leadership. Today, one of us, a tested and trusted young leader, Right Honorable Engineer Saliu Yakubu Dalladi, has emerged the flag bearer of our great party.
And to other stories in the world of business, the Securities and Exchange Commission has signed a memorandum of understanding with Rwanda's Capital Markets Authority in an effort to deepen bilateral relations with both countries' capital market regulators. The Director General of the Nigeria's Commission, Motomi Agama, made this known in Abuja after meeting with a delegation from Rwanda's Capital Market Authority led by its CEO, Mr. Romeo Ngarambe. According to the MOU, both parties shall cooperate in areas relating to investor education and capital market development, exchange of information and regulatory and market development, capacity building, training and cooperation and enforcement and supervisory matters of mutual respect. Mr. Gama also calls for enhanced collaboration among African markets for a stronger interconnection within the continent, as well as development of new products. And as part of efforts to enforce and reduce the impact of rising food inflation in the country, the Bank of Agriculture says that it has carried out some measures that will help actualize this target. Speaking on our Business Morning program, the Managing Director of the BOA, Ayo Sotiri, also pointed out some of the moves it has made to bring succor to farmers in Nigeria.
Low interest rate that we are, giving the farmers. Currently, MPR says 26.5%. We are borrowing many basis points below MPR. We're still doing single digits, facility to our farmers. It means that will translate across board. I just told you that we're financing 2 million farmers for phase 1 and phase 2, starting with 500,000 farmers that we've already distributed input to. We don't believe in making noise. We believe in, the results speaking for itself. Now, the most important thing is not just giving the farmers, the right input. It's also worrying about everything along the value chain. As you know, 2,000 tractors were bought from Belarus, I think about a year ago. And I can categorically tell you today that we have over 1,200 of those tractors mechanizing, land in about, I think, 22 states currently. And more is still going out. We also have plans to do large-scale commercial agriculture, with the river basins and also with the universities, because the universities have, enough land to actually have a catchment where you can do in-grow and outgrow schemes. Some of them having water bodies. For example, Abuja University has about 14,000 hectares. ABU Zaria has about, I think, 23,000 hectares. So for us, we want to use that to also support the agriculture programs in the system, because, as you know, it's not about just farming. It's about, thought leadership within the sector.
That's the news at 5 this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu.